Okay. I played Catherine originally in the summer of 2015. Honestly, the beautiful women were enough to get me to check it out. I'm a simple being. But the puzzles were what got me hooked. Regardless of what I'm going to talk about in the rest of this video, the puzzles in this game are super engaging and one of my favorite puzzle formats I've ever played. I didn't really pick it up again after that summer, but it left a lasting impression on me, and I liked the visual style. So when Catherine Full Body was announced, I was interested, despite the apparent controversy. I waited for a sale, which I was finally able to catch recently, and spent a Saturday playing through the game, and I have thoughts. Heads up that this video will contain spoilers for Catherine Full Body as well as Persona 4 Golden. And while I am going to lodge some concerns and complaints, I don't hate this game or Atlas, so please don't take it that way. It's a thought-provoking title that I feel made some questionable decisions. So the original Catherine has an issue with its depiction of women. The two main love interests are Catherine, spelled with a K, and Catherine, spelled with a C, one representing order or goodness, and one representing freedom or sin, literally she is a demon, throughout most of the story. I'm gonna call them K and C to easier differentiate them. The gist of the story is Vincent has been with Kay for a long time now, and he isn't willing to commit to marriage. He's just kinda coasting in their relationship, taking her for granted. One night at his favorite bar, the Stray Sheep, he meets a mysterious, seductive woman, C, and he blacks out, but wakes up next to her the next morning and freaks out, assuming they have slept together. C doesn't know about K doesn't know about C, and Vincent continues an emotional affair with C and begins experiencing surreal nightmares about climbing block towers to survive. Those block towers are the puzzle gameplay that I love so much. The reason I say that the original has an issue with its depiction of women is because neither of these characters are necessarily depicted in a positive light. C is simultaneously seductive and innocent, beautiful and violent, and her purpose in the story essentially ends up being to seduce Vincent and ruin his life. Meanwhile, Kay is presented as kinda snippy and demanding, passive-aggressive even, and neither of them get too much character building. While playing through this game, it's pretty easy to pick up on the misogyny present. It's kind of a male fantasy scenario with a really good puzzler put in there. So there's a lot more to the story that I don't want to spoil or really dig into, but in Full Body, Rin is introduced, another mysterious woman that Vincent bumps into outside of a bar. The game has more than 10 endings, all of them are on YouTube if you want to watch. I got the Rin Good True ending, where Vincent and Rin work together to defeat the forces behind the deadly block tower dreams, fall in love, and travel the galaxy for Rin's piano performances. I was trying to get a Rin ending since I had beaten the original game already. I knew going in that there had been some controversy around the game's release due to its depiction of Rin as a trans woman, or at least that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure what to expect and tried to go into it with an open mind. But what they did with this character really left me stunned. So Rin is actually an alien being who can shapeshift, meaning human concepts of gender don't really apply in my opinion, so I'm just gonna use they pronouns for Rin, and if you don't like that, then maybe just wait a minute to see what I have to say before you start mashing the keyboard. But if you're gonna be a jerk about it, please just click out of this video, I will delete your nasty comments, and then I will make fun of you with my friends. Rin is presented as a third option for Vincent. K represents a life of order and goodness, as we said. C represents a life of freedom, badness, sin. And Rin's presented morality doesn't relate to this binary of behavior. Choosing Rin's route in the game actually breaks the good-bad meter that the player's responses affect throughout the game, and instead, Rin's route with Vincent represents self-acceptance rather than the need to change his values. Rin is strongly coded as some type of trans and or queer person in the story, and what I just mentioned is a good example of that. If Rin is simply a man, as many fans like to argue because they say as much about the form they take on in the human world at one point in the story, why are all the questions and answers that lead to Rin's endings about topics like breaking the mold, changing expectations, and accepting your partner? It's of course up to interpretation by each player, but as a person who has spent a lot of time conceptualizing different ideas of gender, it seemed kinda obvious to me. I think what makes more sense given all of the context we have is that Rin may be coded, gender fluid, or non-binary. Like I said earlier, Rin isn't even human, so how would we apply gender to beings outside of our planet? They are completely different, and to assume that aliens would be either male or female is a very human-centric way of looking at the universe. I think something that people can really get caught up on is arguing about whether Rin is a binary trans woman specifically, which I don't really care to do. Rin is feminine in presentation and voice, but presentation, identity, and physical form are all separate components of a person, and they don't all have to match up in the way that society traditionally expects them to. When it comes to Rin's relationship with Vincent, aside from his initial freak out upon discovering that they are not a cis woman, which is a scenario that gets real-life trans women hurt or killed and I don't feel is something to joke about, I thought that Rin was the best for Vincent of any of the options, and actually unlocked a new side to Vincent that we had not seen before. He was ready to commit, ready to fight for them to be together, comfortable being himself around them, and shedding societal standards and expectations of who he should be. Rin takes Vincent as he is, and Vincent does the same for Rin. And I think that's a nice alternative to K and C, who he never seemed comfortable around due to their expectations of him. I think that's another reason why Rin's characterization and storyline confused me, because the game clearly had positive intentions for the character and their relationship with Vincent, but presented their character in a way that towed the line of being problematic. As I've argued before, trans and non-binary representation is best done with trans characters and not with aliens or robots or otherwise inhuman beings. And I'm sure some people will come at me saying, she's not actually trans according to the story, and we would get in some circular debates, so I'm going to end this segment here. I'm aware that C is actually a succubus, and that otherworldly characters already existed in the story before Rin, so I'm not making any concrete or conclusive statements about Rin's identity, just entertaining some thoughts from a perspective you may not have heard before.
What the? Is it just me, or did she get, like, way better at playing piano? Hey, Toby, what's going on?
What's it look like? We're getting this on camera. Didn't you see the news this morning? Rin's trending, man. Big story about the beautiful pianist who lost her memory. They say, if you send someone a video of her, they'll get their wish granted.
Just as a side note, why was Rin's piano playing so mysticized? I thought the game kinda jumped the shark with everything about their endings. They're an alien angel thing, they can play the piano so well that they travel the damn galaxy performing it. I understand that it would be impossible to depict the unreal beauty of them playing in the game, but it did not seem that astounding to me. It was nice, but not people flock to see them tour the galaxy amazing.
Ben, I promise you, I'll never hurt you like that, ever again. From now on, I'll support you, no matter what happens.
Vincent, I love you so much.
No matter what comes our way, with you by my side, we can do anything.
It's like the two of us are unstoppable.
I love you, Rin.
Vincent.
So obviously this isn't a comprehensive analysis of the game, and I never intended for this video to be that way. I didn't even touch on the other trans character in the game. Other channels have done that, and I don't really have an interest in breaking everything down. I'll save my energy for doing that with cartoons instead. My gaming videos are typically going to be pretty chatty and casual. I just wanted to share my thoughts on a game that I found to be a genuinely thought-provoking and unique attempt at depicting characters existing outside of societal norms, although flawed in its employment of queer themes. And while the team behind the game may not have any transphobic or queerphobic intent, it's still important to explore and interpret those topics. I still love the puzzling elements of Catherine, and will probably play those again, even if I don't see myself going through the entire story anytime soon. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for being here. Hopefully I don't receive a slew of enraged comments from Atlas fans, because I would love to entertain some intelligent, trans-positive discussion. Have you played Catherine or Full Body? What did you think? I'm still new to gaming commentary, so let me know your thoughts and any games you'd like me to discuss in the future. Stay hydrated, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.
I am the queen of the universe. The waves tug. They engulf me in the waters warm.
Can I ask you kind of a weird question?